it is 12 minutes past 9 o'clock right now, and Sheree Clark from Fork of the Road was here last week, and she showed you what she could do with one ingredient, what the sesame seed butter, what tahini.
Okay.
It was called last week, and that was pretty cool. But now she says there's something else that every healthy kitchen needs.
Oh.
Nutritional yeast. Now, this is going to be interesting because,
that sounds interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sandy, Sheree doesn't eat bread. And that's what you use to make bread, but she says it tastes like cheese. Sheree, you've got some splaining to do.
You do, because we're not really reeling people in with a segment about nutritional yeast.
Yeah.
But it's good, right?
Right, I mean, it's good.
It is good, so you have to prove it to me.
It does sound a little gamey, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay. Well,
it sounds a little institutional.
Yeah. Know? Well, the thing to know is what nutritional yeast is.
Okay.
And nutritional yeast is a condiment. So it's an ingredient. It's not something you're just going to go and buy and eat out of the container. It's not. It's a dried powder. That's what it looks like.
It's like Parmesan cheese, kind of.
It looks like Parmesan cheese, but it doesn't really. It's non-dairy. It's a vegan product, so it is made from molasses, and it's a fermented product.
Oh.
Molasses is allowed. Some fermented material is allowed to grow in there, and then it's high in protein and vitamins and all sorts of things. And the taste is delicious. So I know, the proof's in the pudding.
Okay, yeah, well, everything you brought here has been good for all the time you've been here, so I believe you.
Well, we're not stopping now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 different applications of it, and we're going to start with the really easy. Now, popcorn is one of those things that, you know, it can be a healthy thing. It's low in calories and sort of that sort of thing. But we gunk it up by dumping a whole bunch of butter on it and lots of salt and maybe some cheese or some other things. So what I've done here is I've air popped some popcorn, just some organic, beautiful popcorn. Looks all nice. I've melted some coconut butter, or I'm sorry, coconut oil, and I'm just going to pour that on there as if it were butter.
Now, if you air popped it, will it melt in the little air poppy butter thing? Okay.
Just perfectly, just like a butter would. So that's exactly how I did that. I melted that on there. Now I'm going to take the nutritional yeast and just sprinkle a little bit on the top. This is going to give it our cheese flavor.
Wow.
And there's about 50 calories per tablespoon, so it's not that it's completely devoid of calories, but you don't use a lot. And then what's popcorn without salt?
Oh, so, yeah. Well, you're preaching to the choir here.
Okay.
Basically, most foods are a vehicle for salt for me. We can talk about that in another segment.
We definitely need to have a chat about that, I think. So then we give it a little stir, and then you give it a little taste and see what you think. And this would be a wonderful thing. It's a great option to again, I take mine to the theater.
It's awesome. It's really good.
Yeah, what did you expect? I mean, and it's the nice thing is that so we've got a vegan version here. It's not a raw food version, and you know I'm into raw foods, but this is something I would absolutely eat.
Good point. Air popper, it gets hot, so it's not a raw food, but
right. Yeah, and so you know, shoot me.
Still pretty healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So now let's talk about, you've had before, I've made you some cauliflower, some raw cauliflower that I put nutritional yeast and some other ingredients on. I've done something very similar with this dish. Over here we've got, I've taken some fresh, you can taste while I'm talking because I know you're going to want to eat more than one piece.
When I walked over here, I thought it was popcorn chicken. That's what it looks like.
It looks like it.
Then I remembered it's Sheree, so it's not popcorn chicken.
It's not going to be popcorn chicken, no, and no nuggets here. So it's tasty, and you're probably getting a hint of garlic. So what I've done is I've taken a fresh organic cauliflower, chopped it up, made into little florets, into bite-sized pieces. I've added a little bit of olive oil, some nutritional yeast, garlic powder, salt. You can add pepper if you want. You can be done with it there and eat it raw, or you can put it in the dehydrator, which I've done, which gives it that chewy texture, makes it look kind of baked on. To me, it's more satisfying. I'll eat that as a main course.
It's very good.
Yep, I love it.
And again, when you talk about a dehydrator, people at home might be saying, well, you're a raw food person, you're heating the food up, but if you keep it
below 105 degrees.
Below 105.
And the reason that we do that is to preserve the enzymes, vitamins, nutrients, and so forth. If that's not important to people, heck, you know, let's pick our battles one at a time. Eat more vegetables. We'll talk about making it even better later.
Right.
You could bake that. You could saute it. You could do other things with it as well. What I want people to do, what my goal here is, I'm a drug dealer, but instead of dealing in drugs, I'm dealing in vegetables.
Right.
So if I can gateway drug you into eating some more vegetables, I don't care how you prepare them. Then we'll talk about making them a little healthier. We'll take the butter out of the popcorn and substitute oil. We'll take the cheese off and use nutritional yeast.
No, that's very good.
Yep.
And by the way, folks, at your website, fork-road.com, you've made us what were essentially cauliflower steaks.
Yes.
Remember those guys?
Those are awesome.
They were very good, yeah.
Yep. Those will have to come back sometime.
Now you've broken out the Inspiralizer again, which is awesome because it turns vegetables into like some kind of spaghetti.
It does. It's a pasta-like texture. And so what I've done here is I've made a sauce for you, and I wanted to use nutritional yeast as a base. This is sort of like an Alfredo sauce, and I have an Alfredo sauce recipe that I use that's expensive to make because it uses macadamias. So I wanted to come up with something that was less expensive and more user-friendly. So what I did was I took out the macadamias and I substituted cashews and sunflower seeds.
Ooh, I like those.
So what I've also done then is, of course, nutritional yeast, because that's what we're here to talk about. There's a little bit of garlic, and you're probably tasting just a tiny drizzle of truffle oil.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm. Which gives it that exotic kind of gourmet taste.
Right.
And so there you have it. It's vegan, it's dairy-free, it's not going to make you feel mucousy. If you've got a cold, you can eat it and it won't contribute to your cough. It's served over spiralized zucchini, so the vitamins and nutrients are preserved. If you wanted to serve it over traditional pasta, by all means do it.
Right. And what's important to me, I find at my age, and I don't know if this is true of everybody, but the older I get, I've got to have some kind of protein in every meal, or I'm going to get hungry an hour later.
Well, you know, you've raised a good point, and here's one of the things that I'll talk to you about another time. Sometimes we use words, and the words may not be the exact meaning. When you say protein, what I need to get to the bottom of is, do you mean substantial, something with substance? Is that what you're using as a protein, or do you mean an animal source or whatever? So a lot of times people say protein, and I try to dig a little deeper and say, is it that you're just feeling like a salad isn't going to do it?
Right.
So, and that's usually what people mean. What they don't mean is protein. What they mean sometimes is fat. What they mean sometimes is bulk or volume. And so let's be thinking about that when we use words like need protein may mean I need a bigger plate.
Well, and you can fill yourself up with a lot of these, and you're not doing nearly as much harm from a calorie perspective as you would be.
That's precisely true. This is an entire head of cauliflower, and I could eat that myself and not have a shred of guilt.
Right. So where can people find out more?
They would contact me at www.fork-road.com. You can email me at info@fork-road.com. And if you want any recipes, I'm happy to provide those for you.
And you have a show coming up right on the television sometime this spring.
Yes, season 3 will be debuting in the spring.
Thank you, Sheree, as always. Always learn something, and now I have this sitting in my fridge at home because you had told me to get it, and then I forgot to follow up with you. So now,
good point. That's where you keep it. You keep it in the refrigerator, not on the shelf.
I have projects at home, and that tastes really, really good. It all does. Thank you so much, Sheree. Coming up in a little bit, a nice guy will tell you about the weather. Brian Duffy and Brett Roski this hour, as well as Great Day continues.